So I want to tell you something. Did you notice the other day that I was kind of losing thoughts? And it's really embarrassing for me, and it's part of this thing when I fell, that initial fall that I told you all about. I fell a second time and developed something called hydrocephalus. Ugh. And so, because you have cranial fluid, I have cranial fluid, we all have cranial fluid, but I fell on my cranium in a way that it clogged my ventricles. And when the ventricles are clogged, it gives you kind of I don't want to say brain damage because that sounds so drastic, but it damages something. It damages the part of your brain that makes the connection. So I'll be telling you something, and all of a sudden I'll go off and kind of forget about the point I was trying to make. So when I do that, first of all, it's very embarrassing for me. There's nothing I can do about it, but I got Al. And when Al knows what I want to say, he'll fill in and make sure I don't miss any points with you. Right, Al?
Yeah, and by the way, the doctors as well as our family suggested to Suzanne that she wait until she has recovered, because this is a recovery period, getting back to normal. But Suzanne didn't want to wait that long, however that long is. She wanted to be with you guys as often as possible, and that's why we're here.
Yeah. But also, I find it, it's uncomfortable to lose my point of view.
Well, you don't lose your points of view. You get to halfway through an explanation or a sentence.
Yeah.
And then you kind of space.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel spacey today, but the other day, I guess it was Friday, I felt so spacey, and I wanted to apologize to you on the air, and then I thought, I'll just let it go, and the next time I'm on, I'll explain it to you. So if any of you noticed, I'm sorry. I got Al, and wow, does he look cool tonight.
Well, you don't have to be sorry, okay?
Yeah, I can't help it. I can't help it.
Yeah.
But it was time to go. That's where I fell. Yeah. And, there were over 100 stairs there. And you don't want to live in a house with 100 stairs.
Well, especially
uneven stairs too.
And uneven. They were rocky and I had a thought. When you have these thoughts, you should act on them. But every time we'd come out of our bedroom, I would think to myself, we need a railing going down the stairs. I don't know how many times I thought that. And the day that I fell, I reached instinctively to grab the railing that wasn't there. And I remember as I fell to the ground and I heard my neck break, I thought, I should have had the railing, I should have had the railing. So when you get these impulses, you should do them. I don't like to use the word should, but that would have saved me a year of pain. But I really believe, maybe you agree with me, I really believe that we go through things in life, like you fall and break your neck and your spine and your hip and your pelvis and all that, because we're supposed to learn something, aren't we? I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from this, but I know it's all part of the big lesson. And the one lesson I got out of it is, when you have the impulse to put the railing in, put the railing in. And that when things happen in life that are negative, it's usually because there's a lesson waiting around the corner.
Yeah.
And I know there's more to learn from this whole thing. That's why I keep bringing it up with you, because it's been unbelievable to go through this.
So Joan Gordon said, I'm so sympathetic to you to have had such a horrible injury. You're tough. And you know what? She is tough. She's a tough Irish woman. Nothing gets her down. And if it gets her down, it's for a moment, and she pops right back up. We've been through, in our 55 years together, we have been through some major tests, life and death tests, and we've always come through.
Well, I was saying to Bruce the other day, our son, I said, you know, as we're going through this, I said, I've never been angry through this whole thing. I've never cried. I don't want to. I want to keep looking at where's the big lesson in this, and I know there is. So, you know, be grateful for the negatives in your life, because you're going to learn some lesson that you probably never would have had an opportunity to learn and grow.
Well,
so what I was telling my friends at the start of the show was, you know, this year I broke my neck, I broke my spine, I broke my hip, my pelvis, my thigh. I mean, it takes a lot to recover from that. And then, a month or so after that fall, I fell again. Don't fall. Don't fall. And you have cranial fluid. I have cranial fluid. Alan has it. Caroline has it. We all have cranial fluid. It's essential for washing out the toxins. But when I fell again, my cranial fluid got clogged in the ventricles in my head, and it created, if I say brain damage, it sounds too dramatic, so I'm not going to say brain damage.
You know what it is? The cranial fluid had nowhere to go,
right?
So it continued
right.
building up,
right? And what a headache!
And it created pressure on your brain,
right? And so that pressure on the brain interferes with the connections of thoughts that I'm weaving together, like we all do. And so after the show on Friday, I was aware that I couldn't remember what I was talking about on any of the things that came up. And so I thought I would tell you today if that happens again, because I can't help it. It's going to go away. But Alan always knows what I'm working towards, and he'll correct me, right?
No, I won't correct you. I'll just jump in and say
all right, yes,
one
that's
or
better.
2 words, and that'll
yeah,
be it.
Yeah. It comes back really fast.
Because you know what you're talking about.
I do.
Okay?
I do.
It's just that you get a little spacey. Like in the 60s, we would have said, what are you smoking?
Not to me, but to you.
Yeah, on our first date. On our first date.
Yeah, what did we do on our first date?
In the 60s.
Yeah.
I was staying in a Japanese hotel.
Yeah.
Which I loved, in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I was in a Japanese suite with sliding shoji screens.
Yeah.
No bed, just a tatami mat on the floor.
Right.
And I invited this spectacular woman to join me for dinner in my suite. So I had gone down to the wharf. What do they call it? The wharf?
The wharf.
The wharf.
Fisherman's Wharf.
To Tony. And Tony had a big steaming pot of fresh crabs, Dungeness crabs. And I bought 3 of them and took them back to the suite. Then I had some sake and I warmed it up in the sink. And then you arrived. You arrived. And you were wearing this long, what do they call it? What's that skirt called you were wearing?
Hostess.
She was wearing a hostess skirt. Now, she didn't know that you only wear it when you're hostessing at home.
I read the fashion pages.
So she was wearing a hostess skirt with heels, right?
Yep.
And I said to her, you know, it's a Japanese suite, so you got to take off the shoes. So she took off the shoes, and she was 6 inches shorter and walked in tripping over the dress. That was the beginning of
No, but I said, what else do you have to take off?
Right. You know, I didn't answer that question. I left.
Yeah.
And then...
But I thought the crab was delicious and ingenious, really, because who doesn't like fresh cracked crab? But it was the dessert that you gave me.
Well, it was a pot brownie. It was the 60s.
And
it was San Francisco.
Our first date.
It was Haight-Ashbury.
He gave me a pot brownie, which I had never had before. I took a bite and I went, yuck, it tastes like dirt. And that's when he said it's a pot brownie. You should have told me
Well,
beforehand.
it was baked by a very special baker in San Francisco.
It was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she
Anyway,
had a bakery where she sold all kinds of regular stuff, and then for special customers, yeah.
but we, God, we had fun that night. We laughed and laughed
We did.
and laughed
Yep,
and laughed and laughed.
yep. Yeah, everything I said was hysterical.
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 Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Okay. So, this is the end of our show today. We'll see you on Monday. And remember, it's not who you are. It's not what you do. It's not what you have. It's only about who you love and who loves you, and I love you.
And I
Good
love
night.
you.
And I love you. And I love you, Caroline.
I love you too, and make
What a year.
Yeah, what do you-
Come around and show them how cool you look.
Oh,
You look so cool.
okay.
Actor Suzanne Summers has died at the age of 76 after being diagnosed with breast cancer more than 2 decades ago, which ultimately was her cause of death. Summers was best known for her roles in the hit sitcoms Three's Company and Step by Step, and later in life for her health and fitness business ventures. Summers died peacefully at home surrounded by her family on October 15th, one day before her 77th birthday, according to a statement to NBC News from Summers' publicist on behalf of her family. Suzanne Summers' cause of death was breast cancer, her daughter-in-law, Caroline Summers. Summers' publicist confirmed in a statement that the actor survived an aggressive form of breast cancer for over 23 years. Summers, who was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2000, opened up about a recent recurrence of breast cancer in an Instagram post in July 2023. In a separate statement, a representative for Summers told the actor was dealing with other unspecified health issues at the time when she learned her cancer had returned in 2023, but that she was free from cancer at the time. Here's what we know about Summers' health history over the years. Summers' health struggles began in her 20s. In an interview in Los Angeles, Summers said she had cancer 3 times when she was playing Chrissy on Three's Company in the 1970s. They call it severe hyperplasia in your uterus. I didn't make a big deal about it, Summers told. Hyperplasia in the uterus, known as endometrial hyperplasia, occurs when the lining of the uterus, endometrium, becomes too thick, per the Cleveland Clinic. Some types of endometrial hyperplasia can lead to cancers, including endometrial cancer and uterine cancer.